On a tempestuous Sunday morning, a diverse crowd filled the grand hall of New Dawn Sanctuary. Murmurs spread through the rows as worshippers strained to catch a glimpse of Prophetess Margareta, famously known as Mother Divine. Some claimed she could see straight into a person's spirit, uncovering secrets no one else could know. Others believed she possessed the power to converse directly with the heavens. But that day, a strange tension lingered in the air. Suddenly, a shriek pierced the silence from the side of the hall. A woman named Nora, one of Mother Divine's closest aides, rushed forward, her eyes wide and trembling. She did it again. Mother healed a cripple. The congregation roared in applause, but Clara, a quiet attendee who had been visiting for months, noticed something odd. She had seen that very crippled man walking unaided around the market a few days earlier. Doubt clawed at her. But who would believe her? Mother Divine was powerful, untouchable. Her followers would defend her at all costs. Years ago, Margareta had been a simple girl from a humble, devout family. Her parents raised her to be honest, pious, and devoted to a righteous path. She had been the shining hope of their community, leading youth services, organizing prayer groups, and singing in the choir. Everyone admired her. Some even predicted she was destined for greatness. But no one could foresee the dark turn her journey would take. Years later, struggling to establish her ministry without success, Margareta attended a prestigious conference for spiritual leaders. There, she encountered renowned preachers who seemed to possess an elusive power. The host, Reverend Luther, pulled her aside. "You strive for holiness, but true influence demands sacrifice," he said. He spoke of a special ceremony requiring a profound offering from her. First, Margareta hesitated, but Reverend Luther assured her it would grant her the authority she desperately craved. Driven by her ambition, she agreed. That night, she participated in a bizarre ritual, sacrificing her chance to ever bear children as an offering. The ministers gathered around her, chanting as Margareta's heart raced with fear and anticipation. When it was over, a cold, dark power seemed to settle upon her like a shroud. She couldn't explain it, but she knew something had changed. After returning from the conference, Margareta's ministry began to flourish. People started flocking to her services, and soon the entire nation heard of Mother Divine. Her church swelled with members from every corner of the continent. Her fame grew, along with her wealth. This was only the beginning. Unknown to her congregation, Prophetess Margareta, the woman they revered as Mother Divine, harbored a dark secret. Beneath her human exterior lay an ancient, malevolent power. Margareta was a hybrid creature, part human, part serpent. Her origins traced back to a mysterious underwater convent she had entered after pledging herself to the occult. Each midnight she would vanish from her opulent mansion, leaving the world of mortals behind. In the dead of night, she would shed her human form, transforming into a creature covered in midnight black scales. Her transformation marked her journey to the underwater realm, where her true allegiance lay. Margareta would slip silently into the river behind her mansion, vanishing beneath the surface as if swallowed by the earth itself. There, in the depths, she would join her fellow occult practitioners, other spiritual leaders who had pledged their souls to the marine kingdom. Together, they shared forbidden knowledge, devising strategies to maintain control over their congregations. For Margareta, this was the source of her power. The Marine Empress, a towering figure with serpentine features, granted her strength, foresight, and the ability to glimpse into the lives of her followers. But the price was steep: her soul, her humanity, and most painfully, her ability to bear children. Margareta's sacrifices to the Marine Kingdom had left her barren, a choice she had willingly made to secure power and influence in the physical world. Back in her church, no one suspected a thing. To them, Margareta was a holy prophetess, and they were oblivious to her midnight excursions. Her congregation continued to grow as people came from far and wide, desperate for miracles, healing, and deliverance. Those who sought her blessing were willing to pay any price, from monetary offerings to livestock and even cherished family heirlooms. Margareta's ministry had become a ruthless machine, devouring people's wealth and hope alike. Within months, she introduced bizarre new practices. Each member was given a mirror she called the vision glass. This mirror, she would declare with authority, is anointed by the Creator. Each morning, gaze into it, speak to it, and it will reveal the parts of your spirit that need healing. Her followers treasured these mirrors, believing they were on a path to spiritual enlightenment. But in truth, the mirrors were tools linked to the marine world. Through them, Margareta could peer into their lives, studying their weaknesses, secrets, and fears. One day, she called a young woman named Leela to the front. "Last night you quarreled with your husband about his work, didn't you?" Margareta said, a sly smile on her lips. Leela gasped. "How did you know?" The congregation erupted, marveling at Mother Divine's apparent gift of insight. But Margareta's knowledge came not from divine revelation, from summoning Lila's spirit the previous night, gathering enough details to fabricate a convincing prophecy. Margareta began selling blessed water and miracle oil, each bottle branded with a simple label, but sold at exorbitant prices. She would wave her hands over them, promising they could heal any sickness, restore relationships, and bring financial blessings. Seeing a struggling mother part with her last savings for a tiny bottle of miracle oil only deepened Clara's suspicions. Determined to uncover the truth, Clara decided to investigate the prophetess's methods. She continued attending services, pretending to be a faithful follower, while quietly gathering evidence. Her resolve only grew stronger as she unearthed more of Margareta's schemes. But Clara knew that bringing down someone as powerful as Mother Divine would not be easy. The truth would need to be revealed with undeniable proof. And so, her journey to expose the darkness continued. The following Sunday, Prophetess Margareta's voice resonated through the sanctuary as she scanned the congregation with sharp, penetrating eyes. Her gaze settled on a young man seated in the middle row. His name was Keen, a recent graduate who had returned from abroad with his mother to visit Margareta's ministry. They had heard of Lady Divine and her so-called divine prophecies, and thought it wise to seek a blessing. Margareta's face brightened as she beckoned Keen forward. "Young man, please come forward." Keen hesitated, but his mother nudged him, whispering, "Go, this could be your blessing." As Keen stepped up to the altar, Prophetess Margareta raised her hand in what seemed like a gesture of divine revelation. She inhaled deeply before declaring dramatically, "The Lord has shown me something troubling, my son." The congregation remained silent, hanging on every word. Prophetess Margareta looked at Keen with a sorrowful gaze, slowly shaking her head. "Young man, your life's energy is running dangerously low. I see darkness ahead if nothing is done," she continued. Keen's heart raced. Life's energy? He didn't understand, but Margareta's grave expression unsettled him. "What does that mean, ma'am?" Keen asked, his voice shaky. Margareta placed a comforting hand on his shoulder and lowered her voice, thickening the air with tension. "It means, my son, that if action isn't taken quickly, you won't live to see your 30s. Marriage, children, all of that will be lost unless you act now." Keen's face turned pale, and his mother gasped, clutching her chest in horror. But Margareta continued, raising her hand as if bestowing hope. "The Lord has provided a solution. There is a way to renew your life's energy to ensure you live a long and prosperous life." She leaned closer, her eyes narrowing with intensity. "You must make a sacrifice, a powerful seed, something that costs you deeply, for the Lord blesses those who give from their hearts." Keen's mother gripped him tightly, her eyes wide with worry. What kind of sacrifice, ma'am?" she stammered. Margareta nodded as if she had anticipated the question. "The Lord has instructed me. she said, her voice dropping to a whisper, that your son's life can be renewed with the sacrifice of a bull. Not just any bull, but one that symbolizes strength, health, and purity. Keen's mind reeled. He had heard of sacrifices before, but had never been asked to make one himself. Mama, I don't know where to find a bull, Keen admitted, bewildered. Do not worry, my son, Prophetess Margareta said with a dismissive wave. The Lord understands. You do not need to find a bull yourself. You can simply convert this sacrifice into a monetary seed. Give the amount, and I will handle the rest. The ministry has ways to carry out these rituals. Keene's mother whispered frantically, urging him to comply. Keene, don't delay. Just do what Prophetess Margareta says. Your life is worth more than any amount of money. Reluctantly, Keene wrote a large check, and Margareta accepted it with a satisfied smile. My son, your obedience has pleased the Lord. Your life is now in His hands, and He will reward you for your sacrifice. What Keene didn't know was that Margareta had no intention of buying any bull or offering any sacrifice. As she had done with countless others, she redirected the money straight to her luxurious mansion construction on the outskirts of the city. This was only one of many deceptive practices Prophetess Margareta employed to amass wealth. Clara, a young woman who had been observing Margareta's ministry, began collecting testimonies and evidence of the fraud. She was determined to expose the truth, even though she knew it wouldn't be easy. During one particular service, Clara noticed something odd. An elderly man in a wheelchair approached the altar. Mother Divine placed her hand on his forehead, murmuring a prayer. The man suddenly rose, shaking with supposed newfound strength, and the congregation erupted in praise. But Clara recognized him from the local market. He was an actor paid to feign the miracle. Over time, Margareta's wealth grew, with her mansion adorned with gold-plated furniture, luxury cars, and private staff. She called it a blessing from God, but Clara saw the suffering of her poor neighbors who gave all they had in vain. Margareta's influence extended beyond money. She manipulated lives, breaking up families for her own gain. One prominent businessman, Mr. Adisa, became a particular target. Brother Adisa, she declared during a service, her voice filled with urgency, the Lord is showing me a troubling vision. Someone close to you is blocking your blessings. Adisa's eyes widened in panic. Who could it be? He asked desperately. Margareta leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. It's your wife. Her envy and greed are entangling your prosperity. But fear not, I can help you. Margareta's goal was not just to separate Adisa from his wife, but to draw him closer to her. She manipulated him into private sessions, which soon turned into an affair, with Margareta promising divine favor in exchange for loyalty. Clara's investigation continued. She discovered that Margareta sold blessed water to cure any problem for a fee. Behind closed doors, she simply added salt and sugar to each jerry can, creating a slight change in taste to fool her followers. One night, Clara followed Margareta to the river behind her mansion. Midnight, Margareta emerged and chanted in an eerie, ancient language. Her body transformed, scales shimmering across her skin as she slipped into the water. Clara realized then that Margareta's power wasn't just deception. It was rooted in something dark and sinister. With evidence gathered, Clara released recordings, photographs, and testimonies to the media. The exposure shook the community. Those who had trusted Prophetess Margareta now wept with disbelief, mourning years of manipulation. Clara spoke to the congregation in her final address, her voice steady and filled with conviction. My friends, this journey has shown me something vital. Never place your faith blindly in anyone. True faith is built on truth, not deception. Clara continued by emphasizing that although Margareta's experience had left a bitter taste, it didn't imply that every spiritual guide was dishonest. There are genuine messengers, both men and women, who dedicate themselves tirelessly, with humility and integrity, to share love and truth with the world. They don't seek riches or require bizarre rituals. They simply strive to live lives that embody kindness and compassion, inspired by the divine. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to our channel. Alright, besties, thank you so much once again for watching. I will see you in our next story. Bye for now.